Welcome to part one in the AI 101 series. So, we're going to be diving into all things AI and walking you through practical strategies that you can use right away to confidently integrate AI into your role, whether you're a teacher or a catechist, an administrator, or a faith based leader. So, for part one, we're talking all about AI foundations. So, what it is, why it matters for your work in education, ministry, or leadership, and what you need to be aware of to use it safely. So first, let's talk about what AI is. So I have this definition here from IBM. Artificial intelligence is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. So in this series, we're going to be talking about generative AI. So I have this definition here. Generative AI, sometimes called Gen AI, is artificial intelligence that can create original content such as text, images, video, audio, or software code in response to a user's prompt or request. So these are tools like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, Canva, and Magic School. Now, AI might feel like this big new thing, but we've actually been using it for a long time. So if you're using Netflix, after you watch a show, it recommends other shows for you that's actually AI. And then whether you're using Siri or Alexa or Google, we've all been using voice assistants for a long time. And then Grammarly or other writing assistants are all AI. Another one is Google Maps. So we've actually been using AI for quite some time now. We're just using it in a much bigger way. So before we dive into how AI is being used and how it can help you save time and be more productive, we first need to make sure that we're using it responsibly and safely. So let's talk a little bit about misinformation and data. So if you've used AI at all, then you may have received a response from a chatbot like ChatGPT that wasn't correct or factual. And so AI can generate false information and have what we call hallucinations. So AI hallucination is a phenomenon where in a large language model, often a generative AI chatbot or computer vision tool perceives patterns or objects that are non-existent or imperceptible to human observers, creating outputs that are nonsensical or altogether inaccurate. So essentially, it'll just make things up. So this is an example from Emma Pass, and ChatGPT said that the first woman president of the United States was Hillary Clinton. So this is a perfect example of a hallucination. So if you're doing research or looking up data or something like that, and you're using a chatbot like ChatGPT, and there are specific sources that are linked there, it's always really important to go through and actually click on those sources and see where they got that information from. Because sometimes the sources aren't actually real. They just made up a source. And if you go to that page, like this example here, it's going to show a 404 not found page. So our main tip here is to just always go through and double check. Make sure you just don't copy and paste or take the resources that the AI tool gives you, but you always read through it, you look at the sources, and you verify that it is correct before you use that information. Even if it's writing an email for you, always go back, double check, read through it. Don't just copy and paste whatever it generates for you. So one last thing we need to cover is privacy. So it's really important to remember that many publicly accessible AI systems may retain and learn from what you submit. So this means that the data you provide can influence or even appear in the system's future outputs. So it's really, really important to be careful. So I have this quote from The Guardian, and it says, "Each time you ask an AI chatbot for help, microcalculations feed the algorithm to profile individuals. Chatbots typically collect text, voice, and device information as well as data that can reveal your location, such as your IP address. Like search engines, chatbots gather data such as social media activity, which can be linked to your email address and phone number. As data processing gets better, so does the need for more information. Anything from the web becomes fair game." So just like when we're on the internet and we exercise caution, we're careful with the information that we release and how we're being tracked and all of that. It's very similar to that, but with AI, we have even less control over what information about us is collected, what it's used for, and how we might correct or remove such personal information. So it's best to just exercise caution when you're entering in prompts, when you're putting information into AI tools like ChatGPT. Here are a few privacy best practices. So you should never enter any data or input that is confidential or sensitive into publicly accessible generative AI tools. So this includes individual names, physical or email addresses, identification numbers, specific medical, HR, or financial records, any proprietary company details, any research, organizational data that is not publicly available. So if you're unsure if you should add in a specific detail to a prompt or put into an AI tool, I always find it's best just to leave it out and err on the side of caution. If you're unsure, just leave it out. So now that we've covered some best practices for using AI safely and responsibly and touched on the things that you need to be aware of, let's look at how AI is already being used and some exciting ways that you can use AI. So just remember in the next videos, we will dive into these strategies in more detail and walk through how to use AI tools to implement them. So first up, we have educator examples. So some great ways that you can use AI tools as an educator is to generate lesson plans, differentiate content, create rubrics. You can automate repetitive tasks like grading and answering student questions. So here are just a couple of real life examples on how you can use different AI tools to create lesson plans. So this one is Canva, and we use Magic Write to create a lesson plan on the water cycle. And then here's the lesson plan it generated. And then over here, we use the prep framework for our prompt inside of ChatGPT and created this lesson plan on understanding character arcs. Here are a few interactive activities that were created in seconds with a few AI tools. So we have Diffit, Magic School, and Canva. So we just entered in a specific prompt and we put in whether it was the lesson topic, a unit, and it created these activities based on that in seconds. Another great way to use AI is to create newsletters. So you can use tools like ChatGPT or Magic School to create the content that goes in your newsletter, and then use Canva to really bring that to life and create this engaging, visually pleasing newsletter that you can send out. So that saves a ton of time. So now on to administrators. So they can use AI for scheduling, drafting communications, creating data reports, and so many more. These are just a few. And so right here, we use ChatGPT to create an agenda for a meeting based on this prompt right here. So now on to some catechist examples. So they can use it in the same way the educators can, creating lesson plans, automating repetitive tasks. But a few other ideas are creating reflection prompts or visual scripture timelines, and then translating texts for multilingual communities. So right here, this was created inside of Canva. So we had this newsletter in English, and then we translated it into Spanish. And now on to faith leaders. So they can use it to create sermon starters, communication drafts, manage calendars, and outreach campaigns. So right here we use ChatGPT to write a newsletter for a parish community, and then also create social media ideas for a parish community as well. And again, we will walk you through a lot of these examples and show you how to replicate them for your specific role. So AI can be this really big, overwhelming thing, and it can feel really scary, but there are a lot of myths out there when it comes to AI. So I wanted to help clear up some of those. So the first myth is that AI will replace us. We've all heard this, and there's this quote that says, "You won't lose your job to AI, but you'll lose it to someone using AI." So the reality is that AI enhances human capacity. It doesn't replace discernment, creativity, or pastoral care. It really just enhances the work that we already do, and it's important to use it as a thought partner. So the second myth is that AI is too complicated. And as I said, AI is overwhelming. It can be this big, scary thing. It's hard to know, where do I start? How do I start using it? And the reality is that a lot of AI tools are actually pretty easy and simple to use. So it's really important to have the right practical strategies to start using, and then know how to craft the right prompts. So the second myth is that using AI is unethical or unfaithful. And so the reality is, like any tool, it depends on how we use it. Anything can be used for good or bad. And we really like to think of AI as a thought partner. It's not replacing your work, but it's enhancing the work you already do to free up time and help you focus on what's more important. So kind of diving deeper into that, that idea of AI as a tool. So why it's meant to assist and not replace human work. And here's 3 reasons why. So first, AI doesn't have a heart, a soul, or a mission. It's not called to serve like you are. AI can process data, generate content, but it can't replace relationships or empathy, creativity, discernment, or faith. And so you're called to educate, minister, lead, these roles that require deep understanding, care, and wisdom. AI can't pray with someone or sense a hurting student or deliver a message that speaks directly to a person's spirit. And that's where you come in. Again, AI is just enhancing what you already do. Next is AI as a thought partner, and you'll hear me say that a lot. So you're still making the decisions. AI can suggest, draft, summarize, or brainstorm, but you review, you refine, and deliver. So you're the one that's taking those ideas and customizing them. It's a starting point for you. You're infusing your tone and your voice and your personality into that. So it's like having a fast assistant who helps organize your thoughts or give you that starting point. A few examples of this are, let's say an educator uses AI to draft a lesson plan, but then you go in and you adjust it based on your class's needs. You don't just take it and go. You customize that based on the knowledge and relationships that you have with your students. For a catechist, they can use an AI tool to outline a reflection, but you can add a personal touch and spiritual depth to that. For an administrator, they can draft newsletters, but then they need to go in and make sure that it fits their tone and community. And for a faith leader, they can use AI to organize outreach ideas, but you then go in and prayerfully choose what aligns with your mission. So last is AI frees up time to do what only humans can do. So AI helps you spend less time on those repetitive tasks and more time connecting with students or parishioners, preparing meaningful, engaging content, listening, discerning, responding with care. And AI allows us to be good stewards of our time and energy and to help us focus on what's most important so we can have the greatest impact. So now you have a good foundation in what AI is, why it matters, how to use it safely and responsibly, and kind of a good understanding of how these tools can be used in your role. And we're just getting started. This is the first one in the series. And in the rest of the series, we will walk you through practical strategies on how to use AI. So we're going to get into the how-to, walking you through step by step, how to save time and work more efficiently, how you can use AI for creativity and content creation, and then for personalization and engagement. So there is a little bit of optional homework. Before watching the next video, we recommend going through this AI toolbox and identifying one AI tool to explore in your work. So inside this toolbox, you'll find a list of tons of popular AI tools with a few short videos and resources to kind of help you get started with them and really go in and explore that, see which tools you like, play around with things, and kind of see which tools you want to start exploring in your work. And we will be diving into a lot of these tools throughout this series. So the link is right here on the screen, and this will be linked below this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and we'll see you in part 2.